Here it is! Shockwave died!
Welcome to Go Play Esports Podcast with Christopher Turner, Go Play founder and CEO, esports coach at the Southern University Lab, and gamer. Discussions on the emergence of esports at the K-12, collegiate, and professional level. Let's go play.
Welcome. This is your host, Christopher Turner. This is another episode of Go Play Esports, where we discuss everything esports from professional to collegiate to K through 12. You just heard the intro. Today's guest is the CTO of Esports One, an LA-based esports data and analyst company leading the developing of E1 Fantasy. E1 Fantasy is an all-in-one fantasy platform for League of Legends where players can research, watch, and compete with their friends. He has an extensive background in scaling teams and building social products for mobile and web. He's excited to apply this background to elevate esports fans and experiences while continuing building the products that bring people together. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome Elvin Albert, CTO of Esports One. Welcome to the show, Albert. So, Albert, I'd like to thank you for coming on, man, and spending this good 30 minutes with us. And could you tell the listening audience a little bit more about yourself? I know I did the brief introduction, but let's go into depth about how you got in. Well, let's discuss before you got into the space of esports.
Yeah. So I'm actually, born and raised in LA, and went to UC Santa Barbara for school. While I was there, I actually studied biology. I was planning on being a doctor at the time, and kind of decided to go, a different direction, and went, the software engineering route. So after school, I went to work for one of Mark Cuban's startup called Dust, which was basically a private and secure social network and messenger at the time. So this was about 5 years ago. I was over there for about 5 years, doing all kinds of things, product and engineering related. And about almost a year ago now, I joined Esports One, and that was kind of my introduction to the esports space.
So, we talked briefly, but I'm a high school teacher, and I have an esports component at the school. And this question is comment. I want you to expand upon it. I tell my kids all the time they're focused on the 1 percentile rate within esports. How was it for you being from a coding and development side, getting into the space?
Yeah, so obviously with esports, the industry's booming, and you see a lot of the big companies, right? They're really on the game development side. And I think what we're really seeing now is this kind of boom in the products surrounding the games, right? So community stuff is, there's a ton around there, and something that we're working on, which is more geared towards kind of the fan viewing experience. So with all of these, with the industry booming the way it is, there's all of these kind of avenues to create products around esports. And obviously with that, that is usually going to be built with, a team of engineers and, product people. So I think, if someone is interested in kind of going, getting into the esports industry, obviously not as, a player or coach, the software engineering route is definitely, a good way to kind of get into the space, because like I said, there's so many companies out there. There's so many opportunities and products that can be built because, the industry is still pretty new, right? The games have been around for a while. And I think the tooling and the products surrounding it are just starting to catch up.
Yeah. So as a software engineer, how, working in one spectrum of an industry and then hopping into esports, how was that transition? Was it similar or was it totally opposites?
Yeah, so, it was definitely, so when I first started at Esports One, one of the first projects I built was this big data platform and pipeline. So, picture It actually powered Acer's Planet 9 platform, which was, a more user-facing way to track your League of Legends, Dota, stats, analytics, give you suggestions on gameplay. You could actually go find coaches and have coaching sessions, and then we would analyze, how did this coaching session actually impact your gameplay, right? So that first project was definitely a little bit different than, what I kind of was used to at the time, building, going from a social network to this data platform, right? So it was different. But as we moved over to building E1 Fantasy, I feel a lot more at home because, with a fantasy platform, there's a lot of aspects of building a social network, right? Like people want to participate in fantasy sports, to compete with their friends, to play with their friends, to kind of view together and kind of build this community, right? So that's kind of, fits in very well with my background. And it's been a ton of fun to build and, kind of see the community reaction to it.
Mm-hmm. And while you're at E1, you're able to put those social aspects into play. Like how is the reaction for you, building, helping to build a platform for social use and seeing everybody using it? What's the feeling? Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the most rewarding part of the job. We actually have a super active Discord community around E1 Fantasy. So being able to see, just all the chatter that's going on there, people sharing their lineup, sharing, how their team did that week. I mean, that's the fun part of the job, right? Like that is the super rewarding piece when you have these these auxiliary communities growing around something that you've built. And that's what really, really makes it fun. Mm-hmm. And, keeping it up with the social piece, are you an avid gamer?
Sorry, can you say that again? Kind of cut out.
I say dealing with the social piece, are you an avid gamer yourself?
Yeah, so, I mean, I've played video games my whole entire life. Growing up, I was a big Super Smash guy, big Blitz guy. Kind of as I got older, played a ton of Madden, ton of Halo. 2K was a big one, all through college. So not League of Legends specifically, but I've been playing video games my entire life.
Mm-hmm. So what's your favorite titles? You're a PC guy, console guy, because you named some titles that are on both.
Yeah, I'm a console guy. I would say, I think if we just go just based on hours, I think it would have to be Super Smash. Just because I played all of them, all the way through growing up, even the new ones. So. Yeah, Smash is a great one, man. I have a 13-year-old daughter. That's her favorite game, man. And you can get a lot of people involved too at one time. Exactly.
So it's awesome, man. Yeah, just staying on that social piece, man. I think it's real important. When we look at these games and we build around these networks, and you guys going and building a platform for now. The focus point is League of Legends. It makes sense to me. You're talking about a 5v5 game, and with a big community. And so the next question is, what made you guys, sit at the round table and focus in on League of Legends?
Yeah, so League has always kind of been a focus of Esports One even before I got there. One of the kind of first products we built was called One View, which is actually a Twitch extension where you can see kind of events and game history appear alongside, a streamer playing. So I think the reason we really honed in on League is obviously the massive community. I think it's something like 100 million monthly players, right, playing League. But it was also highly based on the fact that we have a lot of people within the company who are just super knowledgeable about League. So the founder and creator of Oracle's Elixir works with us, and he's basically the go-to guy for anything professional League of Legends, right? So it's really that kind of domain expertise that lends itself for us to let's go after League first, along with the massive community and just how passionate that community is, right? Yeah,
for sure. It's a big community, man. I tell people all the time, League of Legends has broken a lot of viewership records over the last couple of years, man. That's pretty impressive. So I get it. It's insane, man. And not to go off those focal points. I'm going to get back to that. Is there any other developments at E1 that you can talk about that you guys are working on?
Yeah, obviously, expanding titles is a priority. We definitely are looking into also just expanding across different regions in league. So right now, E1 Fantasy supports LEC and LCS, right? But we'd love to, add LCK in there, other games. We are, we've done work with Overwatch and, like I said, Dota in the past. So we're definitely looking, we're definitely looking at kind of what avenues to go in terms of expanding kind of the league coverage, bringing in new titles. We just want to make sure that the experience is authentic, right? We don't just want to throw in a game because it's hot and because it could potentially bring more users, right? Like, we want the fantasy platform to feel like it's almost an extension of the game, right? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the biggest thing for us. So, like, we don't want to take on games that we don't know as well as League, right? Like, we want to make sure that it just feels very, very real because, the gaming community, they know how these games function and kind of what to expect. So, like I said, we really want to be almost like an extension of that.
Mm-hmm. And I get that. It sounds like to me you're focusing on organic growth. And that's major in the gaming community. Like you said, they know the game better than we do or would ever know, especially if you're playing on a regular basis and your professional players, man. They know the game inside and out. And with that said, let's focus in on E1 Fantasy, man. When I first saw this, Evan, man, I was excited because I'm a fantasy player like for the NBA and NFL, so I completely got the concept as soon as I saw it. Give us a brief rundown of exactly what E1 Fantasy is.
Yeah, so E1 Fantasy is a fantasy, esports platform for League of Legends. So every week there is, a contest, and you set a lineup for each position, and then you pick a team. And, depending on how they do for that week's games in real life, you earn points, right? So you can earn points, you can climb the leaderboard, you can actually watch the games within the platform. So we really kind of wanted to build this like all-in-one platform where someone can go, they can, compete, they can research, how players have been doing, and actually watch, the games all in one spot.
Yeah, and basically you just pretty much like blanket statement. It's all in one platform. If you watch your dad or uncle or cousin or something like that during like the NFL or NBA season, that's pretty much what they're doing on whatever platform they're using. So now you have a platform in your hand, mobile device, or web where you can pull up a platform and get all your LOLs, stats, look at your favorite players. And let's dive into like the weekly prizes, man, because I read, man, that, it's possible like $100K prize pool. So explain that.
Yeah. So for this first league, which we're calling the E1 Founders League, we actually had a prize pool of, I think it's just around $100K. So each week, if you're the top scoring team for that week, I think it's like $1,000. And then we have a prize for most assists and then highest scoring captain. And what the captain is so you pick someone in, your lineup, and if you choose to make them a captain, you actually get to pick two champions that you think they're going to play that week, and that actually gives you a bonus. So that's kind of what, I was referring to when we talked about, we wanted to make it feel authentic to the game, and that was kind of the way we did it for League. But, it's been awesome seeing, just the leaderboards changing week over week, all the community chatter around, like how everyone's been doing, seeing all the lineups that people are setting, and just, how excited the community's been around it.
Yeah, and so let's break it all the way down, because if I'm not a fantasy player and I love League of Legends, I watch it all the time, let's go through the process of building a lineup and selecting those champions and, how it actually works, like the functionality.